Hey guys, Dalek44 here. I need no introduction, but I got one anyway. It wasn't easy growing up in the 90s. Yeah, who am I kidding? Yes, it was. That's because part of it was with Sonic the Hedgehog cartoons. First of all, we got Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog, which was well known for its comedy, odd animation, and comedic Dr. Robotnik, played by Lon John Bradley.
I don't remember programming you to beat me!
And at the same time as that, we got Sonic the Hedgehog, which was also known as Sonic Sat AM because it aired on Saturday mornings. This was known for its dark storyline and badass Robotnik, voiced by Jim Cummings.
I really hate that hedgehog. I hate him. I hate him. Hate him.
And the third and last cartoon to be made by DiC Entertainment was Sonic Underground. This show took the comedy of Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog and the dark storylines of Sonic Sat AM and combined them into one show. Having a plot that's very similar to Sonic Sat AM, this one also has a queen named Queen Alina, who is the mother of three hedgehogs, Sonic, Sonia and Manic. Now being teenagers, the three hedgehogs form a band named Sonic Underground and join the Freedom Fighters in a bid to stop evil Dr. Robotnik from conquering the rest of Mobius and of course to find their long-lost mother. And this little video is something that I like to call Sonic Underground, good or bad. Yes, there have been a number of animated cartoons based on this popular icon from Sega, but this one seems to cause the most controversy. And when I say controversy, I mean geeks who complain about every problem that they have with it. I bet there's people out there who actually make videos about it. Yes, out of all the Sonic shows made by DiC Entertainment, this one seems to have the most audiences split. Some people who didn't take too well to it because of all the changes, preferring the original Sonic cartoon for its stranger, sometimes darker, sometimes sillier incarnation. And the other half of it is a small cult following. There are a number of people who do fan art of this show on DeviantArt.com, but a number of people think that this is the worst Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon ever made. And being a Sonic the Hedgehog fan myself, I thought I'd throw in my 2 cents. And to be honest, I think it's really good. Not up there with Sat AM, but still really good. The show focuses on a storyline that's pretty similar to Sonic Sat AM's storyline, but they just added a couple of new things to it. Like for instance, Sonic the Hedgehog being a prince of the realm and him having a brother and a sister who were the same age as him. And we also got to have their mother doing the introduction narration for every episode. None of the other Sonic cartoons have actually done that before. And the characters are still the same. Sonic is still the fastest hedgehog and leader of the Freedom Fighters. And he's still full of himself and very humorous and witty and still says way past cool and let's do it to it. And of course he's still voiced by Jaleel White. In fact, this was the last Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon to feature Jaleel White as the main character. I don't really get why they didn't use him in the other incarnations of the character. And Dr. Robotnik is still the same evil tyrant that he was before. But I personally find him in this cartoon to be a bit of a mix between the comedic Robotnik from Adventures and the dark Robotnik from Sat AM. And by the way, has anyone noticed that that was the voice of Grounder doing his voice?
I never told him when you drove his Echomatic hovercraft through the garage door.
In 48 hours, all of Mobius will be underwater.
Then we got to introduce Sonic's brother Manic, who is cool, calculated, and raised by feet. In every episode, every chance he gets, he always tries to nick something, but Sonic disapproves of it. In fact, every time he tries to steal something, Sonic always catches him in the act and tells him to put it back. That still gets a laugh out of him. And we got introduced to Knuckles for the first time in TV media. I mean, yeah, we did see him in the video games, but this was the first TV series that we actually got to see him in. A lot of people were really glad about seeing him on TV, because none of the other Sonic cartoons before this have ever done that. And then we get 2 idiot bounty hunters for Robotnik in Sleet and Dingo. And I personally see them as being the new Scratch and Grounder. I mean, Sleet's slightly smarter, but still a little bit stupid. And by the way, did you know that that's the voice of the Brain doing his voice?
I told you, I am not a refrigerator. I am a laboratory robot engaged in an intricate scheme of galactic domination.
Then of course we had Dingo, who was a real total idiot. And Sleet could use the device to transform Dingo into anything. From a basket, to other people, to insects, and even a ball. Now that is a creative idea. And then of course there's Sonia. Sweet Jesus Christ, thank you for Sonia. Wait, what the hell are you doing in here, Sack? Oh, I was just passing by and noticed you were talking about Sonia Hedgehog. Sec, you're not supposed to be in this video. Get out of here. Oh, just let me stay for a while. I won't interrupt you, I promise. Cost me our hope to die. Alright. But if there's any interruptions, you're out of here. You wouldn't even know I was here. I hope so. Now, where were we? Oh yeah. Sonia is the only female member of the Sonic Underground and the sister of Sonic and Manic. Unlike her brothers, she was raised by an aristocrat foster family and being given an upper-class upbringing. She hates to get dirty, she's skilled with gymnastics and karate and possesses superhuman strength. I couldn't believe that when I actually first saw it. She's also got a photographic memory. And the way she does that spin attack is almost similar to the Tasmanian Devil's spin attacks. And a lot of people have been getting bugged by the fact that she was voiced by Jalea White. But when I was a kid, I honestly thought that was a girl doing this voice. I just couldn't tell the difference back then. But now that I'm older, I actually do notice it. In a way, I sort of see Sonia as being the underground version of Sally. I mean, they're both like the voices of reason in the show, and they both like try to keep Sonic in line, and they're the ones who normally do the planning and keep calm-headed and all that stuff. And out of the three, I've noticed that she's the most emotional out of all three of them. And by that I mean Sonia has cried the most in this show. I mean, we do see Sonic and Manic crying like once or twice in 1 or 2 episodes, but Sonia just cries most of the time. She has the most crying scenes in the show, which makes her the most emotional. And of course she has a really hot body. Yes, that is true, Sec. And it's a little bit odd how she's drawn with clothes when all Sally wore in Sat AM was boots and the occasional jackets. But then again, they did draw Sonia in bikinis and skimpy outfits from time to time. So I guess it would send the perds into overtime if they drew her without clothes on. Ahem. And Dalek Sec over here. Go on. Who's talented in everything he does and nothing can be said against him because he's so brilliant. Thank you. And I personally think the changes they did in this show are okay. The characters can still stay the same as they were before, but they sometimes have to change with the rest of the world so that they can be put in new scenarios. Changes definitely have to be made, and I think we know how most people react to change nowadays. I don't want change! I don't want change! Everything has to stay the same! Now having said that, there are some things about the show that I don't really like either. Like Bartleby, for example. Yeah, he's just the typical pompous aristocrat jerk who's working for the enemy and has the hots for Sonia. Yeah, I've seen him a bajillion times before. Moving on. Another thing I'm not too keen on in this show is the fact that not all the characters from Sat AM are in this show. I mean, I know this is a different show, but we could have at least had either Tails or maybe even Antoine show up as one of the freedom fighters again. I mean, Antoine was pretty much the comic relief for Sat AM. I would have loved to have seen him again in this show. And I also don't like the fact that there's no Snively in this show. I mean, from Season 1 of Sat AM, he progressed from being a cowardly minion of Robotnik. Then in Season 2, he'd started to talk about him behind his back and planned to overthrow him. I actually enjoyed that in Sat AM. Come on guys, couldn't you have brought him back for this show? I mean, yes, Sleet and Dingo have tried to overthrow Robotnik in 1 episode, but that's not really as good as how Snively tries to do it. It would have been nice to have seen him again. In fact, out of all the Sat AM characters that weren't shown in this show, despite the Sat AM Robotnik design with a different voice actor, they actually did show Uncle Chuck in the first ever episode. But I'm quite confused by it. I mean, they showed him several times in Sat AM, but only once in Sonic Underground. In fact, in 1 episode when someone builds a de-roboticizer that can de-roboticize anyone that had already been roboticized, I was kind of hoping that Sonic would try to de-roboticize his Uncle Chuck. But nope, we just left way for Sonia's adopted mother. It's sort of like Sonic actually forgot about Uncle Chuck in this show. That's kind of harsh, isn't it? And plus, while Sonic got his same voice actor, Uncle Chuck had a different voice actor, Maurice LaMarche. I mean, I do like Maurice LaMarche, but honestly, Uncle Chuck was fine the way he was in Sat AM.
Simply study the Doomsday Project information I sent you. I expect your analysis at the next command meeting. All his commanders are in on it, Sonic. That worries me.
And while we're on the subject of characters being fine the way they were, I would just like to talk about the SWAT bots in this show. The SWAT bots in this are bulkier, but they don't seem to be as menacing looking as the original ones from Sat AM anymore. The Sat AM ones just look naturally menacing and threatening. As much as I like the underground SWAT bots, I must ask, what was wrong with the SatAM SWAT bots? They look so much better. And another thing that can really get people put off is the animation errors. We know that the other DiC Entertainment cartoons have been famous for their animation errors, like forgetting to draw Indiana Joe's face in the Super Mario Bros. Super Show, forgetting to draw creature claws in the Zelda cartoon, and various colour errors in the other Sonic cartoons. This show still has it, like painting Sonia's arms a pale tone instead of pink like it's supposed to be, and sometimes not drawing Sonia's belly button. And there was a music video known as Cosmic Dance, where her stomach is the same colour as her mouth, but then in the other episodes when they show off her stomach, it's the same colour as her fur. I don't get it. But then again, it's the animation errors that DiC was famous for, and I can't really hold that against them. And a number of the songs in the show are good at times, but some of them aren't really that memorable. Some songs like Someday and all that are really memorable. I even tried to sing that a couple of times before, but a number of the songs don't really catch on that much, and I don't know, they're not completely memorable. Though when I was young I had no idea that Sonic's singing voice was actually the voice of Double D from Ed, Edd and Eddy. Who'd have guessed Double D being a really good singer? And another problem is the writing. Yeah, that can be a problem. I mean, some episodes are okay, but a number of the episodes isn't exactly Shakespeare writing, and one or two of the stories are sort of remakes from the previous cartoon shows, and with different endings. And as I said, the writing isn't exactly Shakespeare, or as good as SatAM's writing, and I'd be lying if I said it is. And another one of the things I do like is having Knuckles and Sonia have a love life for each other. As I mentioned in my top 10 love stories, I think their love story is one of the best I've ever seen. And I find it a real shame that they don't explore it that much. I mean, we only have them explore it for like 3 episodes. I mean, come on guys, couldn't you have done like more than just 3 episodes to explore their love life at least? I would have loved to have seen more of it. Come on guys! And one thing I'm confused about this show is that the people who hate it say that they hate this show, but can't be bothered to point out some of the flaws that were in the other show. So, let me get this straight guys.
It's impossible to build good health these days.
That's funny.
Alert, alert. Organic life form detected. Call father. Substation. Electricity. Interferes with heat sensor. Ignore.
That's funny.
Oh, what are you guys? Freedom fighters or wimps?
Wimps? Freedom fighters.
Sonic the Hedgehog is dead. I'm sorry, DiC Entertainment, you flew too close to the sun.
I didn't include the other renditions because they got the proper reactions they deserved. Sonic the Hedgehog the movie wasn't that popular because of its unnecessary adult humour, but people were glad to see Metal Sonic in it, and Sonic X got an overwhelming reaction of meh. If some people say that they don't like this show just because of the changes compared to it and SatAM, then I can sympathise with your judgment. But if you're just gonna hate it just because it's different, then just take some time to consider these shows and all that stuff. And if you're someone like me who could see the good and the bad points of shows and movies, then let me point out my top 10 Sonic Underground episodes. The Big Melt. Dr. Robotnik comes up with his most original plan yet. Melt the polar ice caps. And at the same time Sonic, Sonia and Manic are on vacation, but it gets ruined when they hear the news. So they have to go to the polar ice caps and stop it from being melted by Robotnik. And when Sonia gets accidentally split from the group, she gets mistaken for a queen by a group of penguins who have troubles of their own. I think it's a really good episode, and the song is quite catchy, and probably one of the funniest endings I've ever seen. 3 hedgehogs and a baby. While in Robotropolis, the hedgehogs find an abandoned baby hedgehog. While Sonic and Sonia search for its parents, Manic is left to look after it and gets in touch with his mothering instinct. But it turns out that the baby is actually a robot created by Robotnik that almost uncovers the Freedom Fighter's sanctuary. This is quite a touching episode, and it shows Manic at his most kind, I reckon. Sonia's choice. After one of Robotnik's plans fails, he comes up with another plan to capture Sonic and Manic and roboticize them in different sides of the city. And Sonia is given the choice by Robotnik to save either Manic or Sonic before one of them's roboticized. I find it to be a really good episode, and it puts Sonia in a real situation where she has to save either one of her brothers and she doesn't know what to do. And I think her song is one of the best songs yet. But just watch it and find out if you don't believe me. Friend or foe. The band visit a floating island in search of their mother. There they meet the island's guardian named Knuckles, who has been falsely told by Sleet and Dingo that the Sonic Underground is after the Chaos Emerald that keeps the island floating. Knuckles of course jumps to conclusions, and while he and Sonic are battling each other, Sleet and Dingo set their eyes on the emerald. This was the first introduction of Knuckles, and I think it's a gem. It's always a gem to see Knuckles in a Sonic thing. Who do you think you are? The Sonic Underground arrive in an Arabian village in search of their mother's journal. Sonia loses her memory and comes across some residents named Rafik, but when they're captured, it's up to Sonic and Manic to save them. This was the first time we got to see Sonia have amnesia, and it's also the first time in ages we get to see Sonic dress up as a girl again since Adventures. And it's really funny how they managed to fool Sleet. The jewel in the crown. The Hedgehogs overhear Robotnik saying that he may have found a jewel that can lead him to the location of Queen Alina, so Sonic, Sonia and Manic go out to find the jewel themselves and find their mother. But then they discover there may be more to this quest than they find out. I won't dare ruin it for you here, but trust me, it's a really good episode. The Price of Freedom. Sonia, after getting dirty on one of her missions, flips out and decides that she's had enough of her brothers and goes to the east of Mobius. Sonic and Manic follow her after receiving news that Queen Alina might have been there. While there, Sonia is reunited with an old friend, Mindy, and her father. Mindy gives Sonia a fancy new watch that she designed. Unknown to the girls though, the timepiece is actually a tracking device designed by Robotnik. Sonia finds out too late, and soon Mindy's estate is swarming with swap bots, and the watches that were made to spy on everyone. I find this to be a good episode because it shows how dirty Sonia could get before she gets really mad and decides that she's had enough of her brothers. And it also shows that there's a price to freedom when you're fighting against Robotnik. Sits as a crowd. The Hedgehogs visit the Oracle again and sends them to an alternate dimension where Mobotropolis was never taken over by Robotnik. But it turns out that Robotnik is the leader of the Freedom Fighters, and the three Hedgehogs who actually live in that universe are tyrannical rulers. So the Hedgehogs must defeat themselves to restore peace to Mobotropolis. I feel this is a great episode because it shows what the power can do to you if it gets into your head and you abuse it. And it's also funny to see the different personalities that the other Hedgehogs have. I won't ruin it for you here, but trust me, Sonic's personality in this one is fun. The Origins Trilogy. These are the first 3 episodes of the show. Queen Alina tells the story of how Robotnik took over Mobius, just like in Sat AM, and how she has to give up her 3 babies in order to make a prophecy come true. And the prophecy being that they would one day become the Council of 4 and defeat Robotnik. And the first episode ends with the 3 Hedgehogs meeting each other for the first time since they were babies. And then the rest of the episodes are just them learning how to use their abilities and learning how to get on with each other. This is a really good start to the show because you can really see the pain Queen Alina's going through, and I find it fun to see how the Hedgehogs get on with each other at first but then start to accept each other, especially the little tiff between Sonic and Sonia in the third part, and the Chaos Emerald Crisis Trilogy. I personally think that this trilogy beats the Origins Trilogy. Sonic, Sonia and Manic's vacation in the beaches is suddenly ruined by a flying fortress controlled by Dr. Robotnik, which is powered by a Chaos Emerald, which the Hedgehogs find quite odd because the floating island hasn't crashed down on Mobius yet. And then it turns out that there's more than one Chaos Emerald, so they go to Knuckles for help in recapturing the Chaos Emerald. But as soon as Sleet and Dingo steal the Chaos Emerald from Robotnik, things go awry and it's up to the Hedgehogs and Knuckles to bring order back to Mobius. These are the episodes that explore Sonia and Knuckles' love life. And while I personally think they should have gone on with it further, I still think this is a really good episode. And we get to see Sonia in a sexy bikini. For God's sake, this is seriously going to be the last time, I promise. But she's definitely hot in a bikini. Alright, if you interrupt me one more time, I'm calling the cops. Haha, joke's on you, they're already looking for me. Ah! I personally think that these are the #1 episodes. But what the hell do I know? Check out these episodes for yourself and you'll probably see what I'm talking about. Check these episodes out and see what you've been missing, or glad you've been missing. I'm Dalek44 and I'll see you next time, folks.